Yes, it is.
I'm going to call the April 3rd meeting of the West Des Moines City Council to order and invite you all to stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, hello everybody. Please sign in, council.
Five members present.
Ryan, are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes, Your Honor.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as distributed?
So move.
Okay, so second.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 2, Citizens Forum. Is there anybody here that would like to address the council on anything that is not either part of public hearings or new business? If so, please come to the podium here, give us your name and address for the record.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Dr. Vicki Long Hill, and it's an honor to be before you all today. I want to, in particular, in short, just present a concern that I have, and I would ask the city and its representatives to please look into it. Several weeks ago, the city finally approved the contract for the paving of the alleys in the Valley Junction area. I believe it's 100 block from maybe 13th Street down to 10th Street. However, I want to bring to your concern, and I think you all know that my parents have been working on this as I with them for over 10, maybe 15 years. So that we're at this point is a good thing. However, on 10th Street, the east side of the street, that is the only alley that is not on schedule to be paved. And so I have talked with city representatives about it and let them know that we're concerned about that and wanted to bring it to your attention. Why it hasn't been paved is, to me, an unexcusable excuse, because there was phases, it's my understanding, that the alleys had to go through in order to be prepared to be paved, including the drainage, and I think there was some grading. Well, this one alley, right in the middle of all, on the east side of 10th Street, that alley have not been drained, graded, or whatever. That's my understanding. So now it's not prepared, possibly, to be paved with the others. I think it should be paved. The neighbors want it to be paved. And I don't think it's fair that there's some residents that have the alley paved and others that don't. Now, I will also say that in discussion with the neighbors, they're all in favor of paving that alley. So I don't know if it was an oversight on the part of the city to why that alley wasn't included, but I ask that the city takes care of that and have it included in this schedule of alleys to be paved, I guess, before fall, sometime this fall.
Vicki, you said that that alley has not had the improvements as far as the drainage and grading.
That's my understanding, but you might want a city staff to
Okay.
address that concern. Yeah.
We will
look into that.
We will look into it, Vicki, and we'll get
Yeah,
back
and
to you
I've
as soon
had
as we
discussion
can.
in,
Is this the same alley that Ed has been coming in and asking about as well, or is it a
No.
different alley?
no,
Okay.
it's in that group
Okay.
that's scheduled to be paved.
Okay.
But no, it
We-
is not the same alley.
We will look into that, and we will have somebody get back to you on that.
Thank you.
So, and actually, they will also respond to the council so that we know exactly where we stand on that alley and what we will be looking to do in the future.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Doctor.
Is there anybody else for Citizens Forum that is physically in the chamber? Anybody else for Citizens Forum? Okay, is there anybody online?
Someone coming.
Oh, okay. Nope.
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 You're set.
Okay, that's good.
You coming?
Anybody online for Citizens Forum?
Funnily enough, I'm speechless.
Rare.
If there's anybody online for Citizens Forum, please hit *6, not #6 or #6. *6 to unmute yourself. Give us your name and address for the record, please. Okay, hearing none, citizens forum is closed. We're going to move on to item 3, mayor, council, manager report, other entities update. We are going to start with item 3A. Sally Dix from Bravo is here to give us a presentation. Sally, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, mostly just to say thank you. Support from the City of West Des Moines is what makes our work possible, and we're particularly grateful for your continued investment. I do want to give a shout out to Councilman McKinney, who serves as the city's representative on the Bravo Board of Directors. He has been an active and engaged member of our leadership team, and we're grateful for his perspective. I'm going to breeze through about a year's worth of work in 8 slides, so I'm going to go fast, but if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know and we'll leave some time at the end. This might take longer if I can't figure out how to move the slides. Okay, that
didn't do it.
you didn't get it, sorry. I'll keep talking, the slides are not necessarily as incredibly important. Just a quick refresher, y'all have been around the block a time or two with Bravo, but just a quick refresher that we were formed in 2004 when business and community leaders recognized the critical role of quality of life in our region's success. They decided that not only would a regional entity dedicated to arts and culture be efficient, but it would also be incredibly effective. We were originally a collaboration between 9 local partner governments. We now have 17 partners, and we continue to act as a steward for hotel motel taxes. We believe that arts and culture are connected to every regional priority, from talent development to economic growth, mental health to transportation. Arts and culture can and should play a role. Thank you. The strategy, of course, we're best known for is our grant-making, our community investment. We take our role as stewards of public funds very seriously. And I'm proud to say that on behalf of our investors, we've invested more than $50 million since our first grant year in 2006. In our most recent grant cycle, we had 85 cultural organizations receive funding. They represented 13 of 17 of Bravo's communities. Interesting thing we're watching is that's actually 20 more organizations than we were supporting pre-pandemic. We did not expect it to go that way, and that's not what my colleagues in other communities are seeing. So we're watching that. Keep an eye on that. Just to give you a frame of reference of those 85 organizations, their annual operating budgets range from $2,500 up to $24 million. There's a wide variety of organizations receiving support. 66% of them, though, do have budgets below $250,000. The vast majority are those smaller, less than $250,000. More than 50% of the organizations we support are actually unstaffed. They're all volunteer run. I know sometimes there's a perception that all of Bravo's funding goes to the large, well-staffed, well-funded organizations, and that's simply not what the data bear out. Of course, supporting nonprofit cultural organizations is core and central to Bravo's mission. That's what we will always do, supporting a robust cultural climate in the region. But we know there are some other ways to do that, and that includes direct investment back into the communities that support Bravo. Recognizing that public art is a priority for many of our metro cities, in 2019, Bravo introduced a public art grant program. This is to support public art master planning or the development and installation of public art that generates more local creative connections. This grant is only open to our 1728E partners, and we are proud that we've invested $300,000 already. We currently have this cycle open, like right now. We want to make sure that if you're interested in applying, applications are due on Friday. We've already had conversations with your outstanding city staff, but encourage you to look into that as ways to bring more dollars back to the city of West Des Moines. In addition to the regional impact that we have with our community investment, I do want to call out some of the West Des Moines organizations that directly benefit from Bravo funding: Tallgrass Theater, Ballet Des Moines, Taste of the Junction, the West Des Moines Historical Society, and the Des Moines Children's Museum. That's more than $175,000 directly being invested back into those 5 organizations that are headquartered in your community. It's important to note that West Des Moines, of course, also benefits from other organizations not headquartered in the city of Des Moines. For example, we know that more than 32,000 tickets were sold to West Des Moines residents last year for programming at Des Moines Performing Arts alone. That's just one of the organizations that West Des Moines residents are taking advantage of and benefiting from Bravo's support. Beyond grant making, Bravo also provides leadership on arts and culture issues and opportunities. There are just certain things that a single grant to a single organization cannot effectively achieve. A couple of examples of how we've done that is Arts and Economic Prosperity 6. This is a national economic impact study we're conducting in partnership with Americans for the Arts. We look forward to having results to share from that in October. We've also funded, in partnership with DART, making art shelters with transportation. So if a city wants a bus shelter, they work that out with DART. But if they want to make that a piece of public art, that funding comes entirely from Bravo. We will pay the upgrade for that so that those shelters can actually become a point of pride for those people that are taking public transportation and another opportunity for creative connections for the community. And then finally, our Passport to Culture program. This is the only program that Bravo runs. That's just not our wheelhouse, but this one's pretty important. This is dollars that go directly to the schools so that young people in grades K through 5 have access to arts and culture programming either in school or taking a field trip. The city of West Des Moines, the West Des Moines School District rather, received more than $15,000 in this school year to support those experiences. All of this is important, of course, because arts and culture drive creativity and innovation, inspiration, but I also want to make sure we don't lose sight of the economic impact that these organizations and the work that Bravo does have. I'm sorry this data is old. We were scheduled to do a new economic impact study in 2020, which would have been dumb, so we're working on it now. But the data that we have is really powerful. $185 million worth of economic impact from arts and culture. That's just the organizations Bravo supports. That's not any of the individual artists, and that's not the for-profit entertainment industry. So for frame of reference, that year, Bravo invested about $3.5 million on behalf of our government partners, and the organizations we support turned it into $185 million worth of economic impact. It's about 50 to 1, which is pretty good ROI for any public investment. Coming out of the pandemic, just as many organizations we support are reimagining their futures, Bravo is pretty sure we can't come out the same way either. We recognize that there's an urgent need to continue strengthening a resilient and connected cultural sector. Beyond economic impact and quality of life, arts and culture must be seen as essential to achieving all regional priorities. We already play a leadership role in this work and are looking forward to firmly committing to becoming a true regional arts council. Our primary focus is always going to be on support for our nonprofit organizations. And it's important for you to understand that grant making will always be our core and primary function. But in order for us to remain nimble and responsive and relevant, we have to intentionally focus on a broader scope of services. We're going to focus on amplifying and championing the roles of arts and culture in delivering broader economic, civic, and social impact. We plan to connect and strengthen relationships between the cultural sector and the broader community, and we're very excited about cultivating initiatives that establish arts and culture and heritage as priority drivers of regional identity. We are actively implementing this plan, and I look forward to sharing our progress as we go. Finally, as I said, I talk fast. There's a lot of ground to cover. If you just remember one thing about this presentation and the role that Bravo plays, please remember that your support for Bravo means support for every regional priority. Economic development, mental health, education, civic dialogue. Arts and culture really, truly are essential community pillars and a strong investment of public funds. Thank you again for your investment. Thank you for the chance to present. Thank you again, Councilman McKinney, for your participation and support, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Sally? Let's start with Councilman McKinney quick.
Yeah, I'll be brief. Sally, thank you for the presentation tonight and your kind words. I think obviously it's important to help the council understand what's going on, but you all don't probably appreciate just how much work that is happening at Bravo and the good work and the impact it has, because when these grants go out, I think you probably all, if you don't, many communications come back to Bravo and to members of the board saying just exactly what the impact is and how significant it is. I know we have folks here tonight that have benefited from some of those grants. So thanks for all the work that you're doing, Sally. It's having a meaningful impact.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments for Sally? Councilwoman Hardman.
Yeah, I too want to say thank you and echo some of the words that you've heard. Bravo is an important partner in the region. I just want to personally say that I think, some years ago we talked about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I personally have seen progress in that area and the types of organizations that you're supporting So I want to say thank you for that, because it's really critical that we have equity and inclusion and diversity amongst this pool of dollars and support. And I have really seen so much of that in the work that you've done. So I want to say thank you, because that's really, really important. And then in terms of the staff there, is it just you and two others, or how has your staff grown over the years?
We're a team of 4 now.
A team of
Renee.
4, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
We had to
Mighty
add
4.
an additional person to support the grant programs. Obviously, with 20 more grant
Partnerships.
recipients, we just can't service them with a single person. And then we've also added new grant programs. We used to just have 1, and now we have 4 or 7, depending on how you count. And so adding that extra person really allows us to continue to do what we do at the quality that we know our government partners
Yeah.
expect.
And then our public art program around this pond, is that something that is a part of the grant cycle that we could participate in, or
Yep.
is that part of it?
Absolutely.
Okay,
So
'cause
that's
there's-
eligible for the public art grant that we
Okay.
started in 2019.
Okay.
And I believe there have been 2 that the city of West Des Moines has
Okay.
received. I should have brought that, but I didn't.
That's okay.
But like I said, the staff is tremendous. Sally and Allison and Ryan have all been outstanding partners, and are both all well aware of the program that we have available now.
Okay, okay. Well, good. Well, anyway, congratulations, and thank you for all the work that you do in the community.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay,
Sally, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. The data from 2015, are you going to be waiting until 2025, or are we going to go a little bit earlier than that? Do we know?
So we don't run that economic impact study. It's done through Americans for the Arts. There are actually 400 communities across the country that are participating in that. They typically do it on a 3-year cycle. Again, as I said, it was those data were released in 2017 based on 2015 numbers, because you have to have a complete fiscal year. So 2017, then 2020, not so much. So 2023, I assume we're going to get back on a 3-year cycle. But it's not a decision that I will make. We will make that in conjunction with AFTA, Americans for the Arts, and hope that we'll get more frequent updates.
Sure. Oh, and I know there's an enormous economic impact. I remember when Hamilton came for the first time, maybe in 2015 or something like that. I had friends in Kansas City saying, "You got Hamilton before we did in Kansas City? We got Hamilton before Atlanta did." And I know there's a lot of good work that you're doing. So anyway, I just want to say thank you for your presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
any other questions or comments? I just want to thank you as well, Sally. You're so passionate about arts and culture in our community. You do a tremendous job, and you guys are nimble. You listen to the people that you work with and what they're looking to accomplish, and if there's a way that you can try to, add some additional programs or tweak some programs that you currently have to try to address the need that's out there, you guys do that, and I've seen you do that time and time again over the years. So really appreciate your leadership and all that you do for arts and culture. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we're going to move on to item 3B, West Des Moines Chamber of Commerce update.
There's Miss Catherine.
Catherine and John.
Well, good evening. Thank you for having us, and thank you for the support that you've given the chamber over the last several years. I'm the chair of the chamber board this year, so that's why I'm here. My name is John Hummel, and I work for West Bank, also a big champion of West Des Moines. So, that's why I'm here, and I just wanted to highlight Catherine, the job she's done. She's been now the president and CEO for 3 years, and started right during the middle of the pandemic. We've now eclipsed a $1 million revenue mark, so I'm not sure of any other chambers in the metro that have done that. 150 plus events every year, just really good programming, and good collaboration with all our businesses. So the impact that the chamber has had, and I've been on the board since 2017, so going on 6 or 7 years now. So it's been really, really good, and so I wanted to thank her, and thank you for the opportunity to be here, and thank you for the financial support that you've given the chamber over the years. It really goes a long ways. With that, Catherine's got a short video and then a couple of remarks as well. So.
Yeah, thank you, John Hummel. Really, really appreciate it. Congratulations on your great West Bank news too recently. So our board is incredibly important to us and the work that we do. I just really appreciate you being here. I have a few short comments and then a video that I think will more capture our work in 2022. But what we do at the West Des Moines Chamber, our goal, our mission in life is to make West Des Moines the best city in America to live, work, and play. So everything we do revolves around that. And I love how we're working so closely with the city. Our 4 key pillars that really hone in on that are workforce development and talent attraction, bringing in great talent to our city, supporting our West Des Moines Chamber members with tools, resources, and great ways to amplify their business so they get more business, community development and placemaking, and helping making the city of West Des Moines a more welcoming place. So everybody, no matter who you are, where you come from, or who you love, you are welcome in the city of West Des Moines. We are a promotion machine. I think we've shown that, and we promote our city, the people, the places, the things, and our companies in a wide variety of ways. I do want to talk about that for a second. We have 6 different newsletters. All of these things are brand new. Since 2020, we really doubled down on our programming and really doubled everything we're doing. So we have 6 new newsletters: the West Des Moines newsletter, the Weekender, the West YP newsletter, the Scoop College newsletter, coming up, and more. And in 2022, we produced 166 newsletters promoting our city, our businesses, our great people, that totaled 830,000 impressions, with open rates averaging 38%. They say that an industry good standard should be between 17 and 28%. So we are knocking that out of the ballpark with a 38% open rate. Our social media followers are now over 15,000. We have 722 total members as of today, and growing. 100 new members started in 2022. We did 50 ribbon cuttings and gatherings and groundbreakings. 50 ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings. 15 committees and microgroups, 150 events and gatherings. Our 15th annual West Des Moines Leadership Academy is growing strong and award-winning, and we now have the largest young professionals group in the state of Iowa. We've won 14 awards since 2022, including in 2022, we were named Chamber of the Year USA finalist, 1 of 3 in the U.S. We are especially proud of the events we collaborate with the city on. These are all brand new events that the city has also created. So one of them is the Athene Black and Brown Business Summit, which is coming up April 2021. The West Des Moines Dr. MLK Celebration, the West Des Moines Juneteenth Jubilee that we work very closely with Audrey Kennis on, of course, our Raccoon River Rally event, Citizen of the Year we've been doing for 77 years in collaboration with the city. That's amazing. Our West Des Moines Economic Bus Tour that we did last year, a lot of fun. We collaborated with the launch of a new magazine highlighting our great city, our West Lab think tank group, and the fundraising of the Athene Pedestrian Bridge, as well as fundraising for the West Des Moines Safety Cadets through our first annual Responders event. And next year is our 100-year anniversary, which is huge. We are just getting started, and the West is yet to come. So with that, I would like to show our impact video, what we did in 2022. Just a couple things.
Let's click play here, Ryan.
You're supposed to laugh right there. Yeah, I know, we've went more than that now. It's almost done. We just want to thank you for your support so
Thank you.
much. We love this city.
Catherine, John, you guys are absolutely killing it on all cylinders. We really appreciate everything that you guys are doing for our business community and for our city, and it's a great partnership that we have. We've never been more lockstep than we are right now, working towards becoming the best city in America in which to live, work, play, raise a family, and one day, as I say, retire. I'm working towards that every day, getting closer and closer. So thank you for all that you guys do. Really appreciate it. It's just absolutely amazing what you do. Councilwoman Hardman.
I just have to say, as the liaison and board member to the West Des Moines Chamber, you get to sit in these meetings and you get to hear the wonderful things that the West Des Moines Chamber is doing. And as a nonprofit with the small staff that you have to do over 150 events that touch such generational kind of diversity and ethnic diversity of all kind, you do activities that fit all different age groups and whatnot. And so I don't think that we could even ask for a better chamber leader than Catherine. So I don't know about this number 3 in the country. They made a mistake. They made a mistake. They made a mistake. And so to get a leader that is so passionate about the work of promoting a city, not herself, the city, it's really, it really is just phenomenal. I love that she probably, of every chamber in this state, has gotten diversity, equity, inclusion at the forefront. And she is a model to emulate, to be the person that brings the Black and Brown Business Summit to West Des Moines, of all places. It's just, people should emulate what she has done, what she's created to provide opportunity for businesses of Black and Brown to thrive and to survive and to do their best work. So my hat goes off to you, Catherine. I don't know where you find the boundless energy.
Yeah.
Thank you for your leadership, John. But I am proud and humbled to even be remotely a board member of the West Des Moines Chamber, where I just sit and just marvel at the great things that you do. And Catherine, you are one phenomenal leader.
I appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any questions, comments?
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you,
Appreciate you
Todd.
being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's epic music, too.
It was very good.
Just want to dance to it.
Councilman Hudson was up here drumming, so. Okay, moving on to Mayor, Council Manager reports. We will start down here at the end with Councilman Lopes.
Nothing to report, Your Honor.
Okay, Councilman Trevilian.
Nothing this time.
Okay, Councilwoman Hardman.
Just a couple of things. Really proud of the work that's going to be done on affordable housing. I know that's coming up, and we have a proclamation and whatnot, so we know that that's important. I'm really excited to be a part of a panel that's going to happen on April the 20th at the Greater Des Moines Botanical Center to help shed a light on affordable housing and what it means and what we're doing in West Des Moines. So thank you for that opportunity. And then the Women Helping Women event was an event that the Chamber did as well, which they had probably 300 or so women there to be inspired and to learn and to network and to talk and just to be themselves. So, Catherine, thank you for allowing me to be the keynote speaker. It was amazing. My theme for the women in that audience was to do it afraid. And I shared with women, and it's important that I share here on this seat, is that whatever you do in life, don't let your fear paralyze you. Do life afraid, because if you don't, you miss your blessings. And that's what I said to the women. That's what I did when I ran for this seat. And so doing it afraid is critical for all of our success. So thanks for allowing me to share that light and to share that vision and to share those thoughts with women that need to hear it.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman McKinney.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll be brief, just to update the council here. We had a development and planning meeting this morning where Councilwoman Hardman and I heard a couple different issues, and one of them related to building guidelines. And appreciate, Councilwoman Hardman, your comments about workforce and affordable housing, because so much of the regulations that we have or don't have really go towards affordable housing. Yeah. Today's conversation related to the fact that we're going to be adopting or moving down the path of adopting design guidelines. And so one of the things we talked about this morning is making sure that while we do have guidelines, they're not mandates, they're not requirements that are going to drive up costs. 2 weeks ago, we also had a development and planning meeting where there were some discussions about trying to have houses become closer together. There's a developer that wants to have some things a little bit closer together, and by doing things a little bit closer together, you can get more units on an acre, and more units on an acre will drive down the cost for those units. And so a couple things that have come before development and planning that hit on that, and one of them this morning was guidelines. I bring that up because also on the legislative committee that we have here at the city, another issue we've been discussing is the state of Iowa is looking at restricting the ability for cities to have guidelines because they think that they're going to drive up costs, or at least that's what I've heard is part of the impetus of the bill. There's probably other reasons for the bill, I don't know. But that bill has died off. And one of the things that Councilman Trevilian and I were concerned about, or at least I was on this, and I think Kevin was as well, was all the great work that has been done relative to design guidelines at Valley Junction. This bill would have undermined all of that, and it would have eliminated the ability to have those guidelines in place to help ensure the look and feel of the area. So that's over with, but it's something that as a committee here at the city we've been working on, so I wanted to update the council. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman. Councilman Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. We had a Finance Administration Subcommittee meeting a couple weeks ago, and a lot of the public hearings tonight are going to be about bonds and whatnot. And we have how many, Mr. Mayor, to go through tonight? Several. We have a few public hearings this evening. However, I think it's just important to understand that because the city has made great financial decisions in the past, because we, both by Standard & Poor's, by S&P, and by Moody's, we are top rated by the credit agencies here in the United States of America. Whenever we go out to sell bonds, whenever we decide to enact projects and whatnot, and these are just standard projects, whether it be in the Parks and Rec Department, whether it be streets, so many different things that we do in this city are based on bonds. And the fact that we can go out into the market and get a lower interest rate than so many other cities in the state of Iowa and around the country is certainly a testament to the previous financial decisions that we've made as a city. And so as we go through the bonds, I thought I might just do that right now and just share that, because I was going to say it before the bonds, but I might as well just say it now. We have AAA rating, and that allows us to get lower interest rates, bottom line, and that's good for the taxpayer, that's good for the city. So there's that. We had a library board meeting, as we do every month, and assuming you all vote yes in the consent agenda, I'll be the new liaison for the library board. Councilman Loetz will be the new backup. And just wanted to say, hey, excited to start this new relationship with the library. The library is fantastic. It's also right over there. And finally, I wanted to welcome our new Director of Recreation, Laura Murphy. I met her back in her office about 45 minutes or so ago, and just wanted to welcome her to the position I think Ryan Penning used to have. And of course, this is Ryan's first day as the Director of Parks and Rec, so welcome to him as well. And gosh, I was just talking to a couple of council members who saw, Doug, was it you? How many cars did you see at the Recplex this weekend, or was it you, Matt?
Right around 18 million.
Okay, that was it. Yeah. So it's always recreation season, but springtime recreation season really gets started. Just as a reminder that we have tons of stuff going on in the city, and it's great. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Absolutely. Thank you for the update. I would just also mention that we have for Dick Szynski filling in, we've got our Assistant City Attorney, Jessica Grove here, the artist formerly known as Spoden.
Thank you, Mayor.
So absolutely. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. City Manager Tom Hadden.
Real quick, we'll have the legislative report will come to you either tonight or first thing tomorrow morning. On your desk, you have a couple reports that you could look at: the Westcom Emergency Communications Financial Report, and it's the first time we've done a separate audit for Westcom, which we think is a really good step moving forward. And I think the mayor's gonna bring these two proclamations for the public housing and public safety telecommunicators at the top. I do want to give a shout out to the communicators, which is basically Westcom, serves 6 cities. First, when you call 911, they start the chain that gets you in touch with our professionals, our fire department, police department, EMS, whatever you need. They get there, they talk, and they're very good. I think they're the best in the state, easy group of people. So we're very fortunate to have them. And I just want to make sure that sometimes they're the unsung heroes of many times, but they're so important to give safety to our people. Thank you.
Absolutely. Amen to that. Okay, moving on to item 4, consent agenda. We're going to pull, as the city manager said, item 4L1 and 2, and I will read those proclamations. Are there any other items that any council person would like to have pulled from the consent agenda and voted on separately? Okay, hearing none, I would take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Move the remainder, I guess.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 4L1 is the proclamation for the Fair Housing Month, April of 2023. Does somebody want to move this item?
So move.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Okay, I will read the proclamation. Whereas April 2023 marks the 55th anniversary of the Federal Fair Housing Act, a landmark piece of civil rights legislation passed in 1968. This law made many types of housing discrimination illegal and is accompanied by numerous civil rights protections in our community, including Iowa's Civil Rights Act. And whereas the Fair Housing Act of 1968 prohibits discrimination in the sale, rental, and financing of housing on the basis of, as amended, race, color, religion, national origin, sex, disability, and family status. And whereas the Iowa Civil Rights Act additionally prohibits housing discrimination on the basis of those areas, and additionally, creed, sexual orientation, and gender identity. And whereas it is the mission of the West Des Moines Human Rights Commission to influence and advocate for community and government systems to ensure an inclusive, equitable, and thriving community. And whereas fair housing practices play a positive role in ensuring the well-being, economic growth, and human relations of all people in our community, and whereas all members of our community are encouraged to raise awareness of fair housing regulations to prevent discriminatory practices and ensure our community is welcoming and inclusive. Now, therefore, I, Russ Trimble, Mayor of the City of West Des Moines, Iowa, do hereby proclaim April 2023 as Fair Housing Month, and I call upon the residents of West Des Moines to promote an inclusive community committed to fair housing and support private and public entities who advocate for equal housing opportunities for all current and prospective residents of West Des Moines. Signed this third day of April 2023. And if the advocates of housing here could join me and the council for a picture, appreciate it. Come on up, everybody. Don't be shy. We don't bite. How you doing? Good to see you.
I mean, you say 1, 2, 3, but. You just gotta be ready because they're quick.
All good? Yeah. That's about it.
Okay, good. We'll send you more information.
Okay, 4L1 has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Any discussion on 4L1? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 4L2 is a proclamation for National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, which
Move
is
approval.
April 9th through the 15th, 2023. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, and emergency medical services of Clive, Norwalk, Urbandale, Waukee, West Des Moines, and Windsor Heights, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from residents who telephone the Westcom Emergency Communications Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our residents have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activity by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas the public safety telecommunicators of Westcom have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. Now, therefore, I, Russ Trimble, Mayor of the City of West Des Moines, Iowa, do hereby proclaim the week of April 9th through April 15th, 2023, to be National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the City of West Des Moines, Iowa, in honor of the public safety professionals whose diligence and expertise keep our city and residents safe. Signed this third day of April 2023. Can I get a motion in a second?
Move approval.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Okay, we will vote, and then I'm doing this in different order, so I'm just trying to keep you guys on your toes.
Yep.
We will vote, and then we'll move down there for a picture. Does anybody have any comments, any questions, concerns? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Five yes.
All right. Guys, come on down for a picture. Don't be shy.
Getting our exercise.
Yeah.
Somebody, come on, some of you guys have to volunteer. Come on, come on, Chief, come on. All right, let's go, let's go. Here we go, here we go. All right, all right.
One more phone. Coordination. Bring up.
That's a demerit, that's a demerit. Demerit, that's a demerit. All right.
That's a demerit.
Tom gets a demerit tonight. Not getting in the picture.
Demerits
Not
equals
getting in the picture.
citation. 5 citations equals a dissatisfaction.
got a lot of other votes to take, so you can get a picture on each one, right?
There you go, there you go. All right. All right, the council will come back to order. We'll move on to item 5, old business. Item 5A, Ordinance Amendment, amend Title 3, Business and Licensing, Title 8, Building Regulations, Title 9, Zoning, to modify regulations pertaining to short-term rentals to align with the state code, city initiated. We have got an ordinance for approval, the third reading and adoption in final form. And as I stated at the last meeting, I really appreciate Councilman Trevilian raising the question about a rental certificate. And it's been updated to show that there will be a rental certificate required in the staff report. And I appreciate staff researching this and taking the proper steps to make sure that that's included. So there are no outstanding issues. There's no change from the previous reading other than including that in the staff report. And I would take a motion.
Motion to consider the third reading.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
5 yes, an ordinance amending the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019, Title 3 Business and Licensing, Title 8 Building Regulations, and Title 9 Zoning pertaining to short-term rentals.
Motion to approve the third reading and adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 5B, consideration of the FY24 hotel motel tax allocations. This was deferred from our last meeting. It's an important vote on the budget. It's making allocations recommended by the Finance and Administration Subcommittee that go to various groups in the city to provide them assistance with operations and various things. So we thought it was prudent to defer it to this meeting. Does somebody want to make a motion to approve the recommendations?
Approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussions?
Sure.
Okay.
I know we didn't have a chance to do this last time because we were missing a couple of council members, and so we decided to move it forward. But just as a reminder, this is a real exciting opportunity to bring more and more things to our city, and specifically things, events, just anything that any community organization is doing to bring more and more people to West Des Moines who will use our hotels, who use our motels, who will basically stay here investing in our community. And I just really wanted to take a moment to share my gratitude with all those that applied. And certainly for all those who have received, who is receiving funding, because I'm really excited about the stuff that they're bringing to West Des Moines. And our residents have joined in the past, have enjoyed in the past, and I know they will continue to enjoy in the future. So it's just exciting that people want to come to West Des Moines. That will always be a great thing, because that's not what every community has.
Well, and I appreciate you and Councilman Lotz and staff setting up all these meetings, having the application form that you do, bringing people in, listening to what they've done in the past with the money, hearing what their intentions are, how to use the money in the future. There's a lot of meetings, a lot of presentations, a lot of material to go through, and I really applaud you guys on your thoughtful allocation of the resources here to make them go as far as possible and do all those things that you're talking about.
Yeah, we used to do that a couple years ago.
We did. It was a lot of
And of course,
fun.
a shout out to the finance department, because I know they comb through all that as well. So Tim, thank you to you and your team. We appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, Councilwoman Hartman.
I do just I want to thank you too for your work. I know that it's really difficult making decisions with limited resources, but the demand even more so than probably it was last year, so that makes it challenging. So sister cities, they went down from 10 to 3,000, or they're not functioning anymore, or meeting, or just a little bit of rationale of why they got such a hefty decrease?
For sister cities?
Yeah, am I reading that wrong?
They're at the same, aren't they at the same level they were at last year? The pandemic has
think-
changed things for
Oh,
sister
this
cities
is,
a little bit.
this would just be
Maybe I'm
under
reading
the.
this wrong. It says
No,
10,000 to 3,000.
that would be,
Go ahead.
that would be a decision made by, Tom, is that when it comes to city newsletter, economic development? The application process is just for outside organizations.
Okay, so that
that's the
wasn't
ones that
part of
we're
that.
focused on right now. When it comes to these other ones, like Dart Shelters, Sister Cities, I can't speak to that because that wasn't a part of this specific
I
process.
see, I see.
But I can tell you that the pandemic and, a year or so after,
Limited.
it brought down the travel and different things that
Okay, they were
Sister Cities
doing.
Commission typically does. I have talked to Jeff Lippman, who is on our Sister Cities Commission, and they have been having great conversations with Mata Asher and are talking about having some sort of an exchange. If they do that in the near future, we could potentially take a look at a budget amendment to try to accommodate that, whether they come here or we go there.
Okay, and then the one other I would just want to ask, and again, I'm not being critical, just wanting some clarification. The Historic Valley Junction Foundation went down about 10,000 as well. And they're
Sure, I
doing quite a
think-
bit of things, and for that,
And I don't think, this one doesn't, this particular document does not reflect the amount applied for. So I think what
Okay.
Councilman Lotz and I did, we went to all the applications, and because I think it was $350,000 or so that we had
Yeah.
available, $397, but I think the applications were upwards of almost $800,000, right? Is that right, Doug?
okay,
It was the application amounts were double
Yeah.
what we had available.
okay, yeah,
And so when it came to the amount applied for, we tried to do an across the board.
okay,
Just, and that's why the amount that you received in previous years wasn't necessarily what you got
Okay.
For this year in a couple of different things. The Des Moines Children's Museum being another good example of that. Just, we tried to go down just a little bit relatively, and it wasn't all that they had applied for, but thank you for
Okay.
checking. And it's by all means, ask,
yeah,
because we're
yeah, no,
happy to
it's
share.
just important that I want to
course.
just get a little perspective on
Absolutely.
decisions, and I know it's tough. I've been in the grant-making process in different venues, but just wanted to make those inquiries.
Okay, any other discussion? It is
Thanks for your
tough,
work.
having done this, a number of years. It is very difficult. It reminds me a little bit of at the state, the infrastructure appropriations at the state. It's the same thing. There's always millions and millions and millions more requests than there is funding, and it is very difficult to try to balance that out and make those decisions. And, it's not easy. So I appreciate everything that you and Councilman Lotz did, and, we'll work over the years to try to, when we get more money in, to try to put more money into various allocations as we can. So
and I wanted to share two more things. Number one, so this particular allocation for this year, I think we're kind of talking about future years, just the overall allocations going down, because I think a lot of this hotel, motel tax money is probably going to be needed in the future. When we look at state budgetary matters versus city budgetary matters, we're probably going to need more hotel, motel tax to help buttress other areas of our budget. So the amount that we're approving tonight is $397,000. Barring unforeseen things, this might be the greatest amount that we see for at least the coming future. So that's the first thing I wanted to share and let everybody know. The second thing is, and I just want to share because I know Councilman Lotz is going to recuse himself because of his role with the Rugby Foundation. Just wanted to make clear to everybody and the council and mayor as well, City Manager Hadd and I, we discussed the Rugby Foundation completely separately from all of the other things. We decided on the funding for that, which was less than the amount they applied for too. So I think that would be an appropriate amount. And I know Councilman Lotz is going to abstain for this from the entire vote here, but just to be very, very clear that the councilman was sequestered from that process. That City Manager Hadd and I, we took care of that, and then we moved on to the rest once that was out of the way. So I'd just like to make that abundantly clear. So.
Okay, now, I'm on the board of a couple of these organizations. Should I be abstaining from the vote? I'm on the Valley Junction Foundation and Chamber.
Well, I don't, Jessica, do you want to
I'm
address
part of the
that?
city as a late.
Unless
think
you,
so.
you would receive personal
Oh,
financial
personally.
gain or interest in any of that. You can if you so choose to, but you are not legally required to.
I'm on the board of the Rugby Foundation. I received no financial gain. It actually probably cost me a lot of money to be on that.
Oh, yeah.
And because of my involvement in the rest of the process, but as like Councilman Hudson and talked about, I was not involved in, they did that before I got involved in this, so I'm abstaining for that reason, but I don't think I would need to abstain necessarily.
Okay, any other discussions before we move forward? Okay, hearing none, please vote. Oh, that was interesting.
4 yes, 1 abstention due to potential conflict of interest.
Okay. Moving on to item 6, new business, or I'm sorry, public hearings, item 6A. This is time and the place for a public hearing to consider an amendment to the zoning map south of Raccoon River and east of Interstate 35 to repeal assigned zoning designations on properties which are inconsistent with the comprehensive plan this was initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
March 17th, 2023 in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comment to this hearing?
The Planning and Zoning Commission, by a vote of 5 yes with 2 absent, adopted a resolution recommending approval of the rezoning request.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6A, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, please hit *6 to unmute yourself and do the same thing.
Ian McTavish, 2270 Southeast Brownswoods Place. Just seeking a little bit of clarification on what exactly is inconsistent with the land use map versus the current zoning. On a property specifically backing up to my property, it is, let's see, 7825, 261, 26015. 17.35 acres right off of Veterans Parkway where the flags are installed, and then across from the southeast Brownswoods entry, there is a vacant piece of property. You've got it land zoned as detached residential. It's listed as residential medium density, so it doesn't necessarily seem inconsistent. So I'm just curious if there is anything else going on here, if there is any developer interested in the property or anything else going on with that, so.
No, we're just taking things that are inconsistent and making them unzoned until the time that a project comes forward and asks for a zoning, and then we will take a look at that. But I don't know if maybe Linda Schimmel could address the specific concern that you brought up.
Mayor, I think I can
Okay,
address
go
this
ahead.
concern.
Go ahead, Jessica.
So looking at the property that you just raised, it appears that the comp plan land use is designated as residential, single-family residential. The zoning currently today is a medium-density residential, so those are not consistent with each other, so that is the only reason to remove the zoning from that portion. It's not an interested developer, it's just statutorily, the zoning should be consistent with the land use, and since that was recently changed to extend all the way to Veterans Parkway, then that will be removed. So anybody coming in arguably would have to develop that as single-family residential directly to the east of your property.
Anybody else for item 6A?
I have some questions, Mayor, but
Okay, seeing and hearing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. And we have got an ordinance for approval, the first reading. There are no outstanding issues, and I will open this up to.
great.
Yeah. Well, actually, does someone want to make a motion first, and then we will? Someone want to make a motion?
Move to consider the first reading.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Councilman McKinney, questions?
So I don't know, Linda, if you're the proper person on this item, or Jessica or whoever, but just a few questions that I think is important for purposes of understanding, for our understanding, as well as anybody that is listening tonight to understand. So can we help? This came before Development and Planning back in, I think, February timeframe. And I had some concerns at that point. And so I'm just going to try to better understand some of those things. The first is, how did we select the properties to go to this new classification of unzoned?
Linda Schimmel, Development Coordinator. So the selection process was basically anything that had existing zoning that was inconsistent with the new land use.
I'll add to that did not have a structure on it. So if there is a property that was currently inconsistent but has a structure built on it, we didn't touch those properties today.
Okay, but if there is a structure on it, we're not going to unzone it.
That is my understanding that all these are vacant. Is that correct, Linda? Or-
Yes.
Yeah.
And so if there's a structure on there, they've basically established the right to that structure. And so that would be considered non-conforming, but since they've established the right to have it, we wouldn't change it unless some other development proposal happened.
Okay. So have each of the property owners then been notified of this change?
Yes.
Any issues with that?
We had quite a few questions. Nobody provided any kind of comments or concerns that was part of the public hearing process.
I received some questions myself from some property owners, attorney representation, after we went through and explained what was happening. Everyone that I spoke to, and I believe everyone that Karen Marin spoke to, she was the lead planner on this, were satisfied with what was happening based on the explanation.
Okay. And so we're going to go from, in this gentleman's question, we're going from, I believe it was multi to single family.
Well, we're going to go from multifamily
Unzoned,
to
I'm
unzoned, but if somebody were to come in and wanted to do a development on that property, you would need to do it consistent with the comp plan. So barring a change in the comp plan, which our goal is to not do, the development would be of some level of single family, whether that, we have a variety of zoning designations that.
And the goal is to not do comprehensive plan amendments. That's why we came up with this comprehensive plan that has the flexibility built in. That said, it is possible that there could be comprehensive plan amendments.
Correct.
So I just don't want anyone to get the wrong idea that this is going to be single family tonight. That's all it's ever going to be, and there's never going to be a comprehensive plan amendment to take it back to multifamily residential or something similar. But the plan is to have this be essentially single family residential.
Correct.
Okay. So it's going to go from its current designation to unzoned.
Yes.
What can be done in unzoned?
Nothing. So they would need to come in and do a rezoning, get a zoning designation based on, now we will look at what has been adopted as place types. So you will look at the place type that they want, whatever their use that fits into whatever place type. And then you will take that place type and find what the compatible zoning is that would be then already compatible with the comp plan. And that is the zoning designation that would be presented to the council for approval. It's it's kind of a chicken and an egg problem. So we either remove inconsistent zoning today, so it is more, I would argue, more transparent to anyone looking to buy a certain property that's vacant. So it's really, the comp plan is going to be controlling as to what can be done there. So if it's in a multi-use district, you will have a variety of options. If it's in a single-family land use, you're limited to some level of single-family, again, barring any comp plan amendment. By removing the zoning designations that are inconsistent, it allows somebody interested in a property to not think that they are guaranteed to keep that zoning, which staff would be of the opinion there is no vested right in. It's not compatible with comp plan. It is not what the future plan is for the city in that particular area.
Okay, so nothing can happen in an unzoned area?
Until they get zoning.
Okay. And what will be the trigger for the zoning?
An application for development. So they'll go through the normal process. They'll do a pre-application process with the city staff, and through that process, they will be able to identify probably and likely more than one option for a zoning in a lot of these land use areas, given the flexibility that there is. And then it will be determined through that discussion with staff and what their project actually is, what zoning to be requested to be placed on that property.
Okay, so that's helpful. I'm trying to, and the reason I'm asking these questions is so that when we have an issue down the road, if somebody comes in like this gentleman and he's saying, hey, what was this all about? We have a very clear record of what's happened. Mm-hmm. So, and we also have the comp plan we adopted back in November. I went through the comp plan today, and I don't see anything in that comprehensive plan that says unzoned. So we're creating this classification. Why is there not an unzoned category in our comp plan if we're going to have all these?
Because it's a zoning designation. So it's basically, you just don't have zoning. This actually happens more than you think.
Okay.
When we annex property is in the county, we a lot of times bring it into our city and it doesn't have zoning. I can give you an address right now, 325 88th Street. There's a lot of development that going on around that area. 325 88th Street has no zoning.
Okay.
So when we determine what can be done there, we look to the comp plan.
Okay. So we didn't have it in the comp plan. That makes sense. Why are we doing it in April as opposed to last November?
It just took time to have the comp plan land use in place and to be able to evaluate the different properties as they currently exist and figure out which ones would need to be removed. I don't know if Linda has any additional comment. I think the focus was on getting the comp plan approved, and then after that we knew this was going to come right after it, and so it was always thought that it was going to happen shortly after.
Correct. And so it's a process of looking at each parcel, determining if it's compatible. If it is not compatible, oftentimes there's only a portion of it that's not compatible.
Okay.
So making those determinations, making sure they're correct, and then going through the noticing process was that time frame.
But had we not, had somebody come in after we approved the comprehensive plan and they wanted to do a development that was not consistent with the comprehensive plan, they would have been told no at that time, that it's not consistent.
They would have told they cannot develop it unless they, one, address the comprehensive plan designation.
Right.
Or two, come up with development that's compatible with it.
Right. So I guess my point is, the fact that we didn't do this back in November and that we're doing this now, I'm not sure that it matters, because had somebody come in November, we wouldn't have let, if somebody came in on this parcel back in November and said, I want to do multifamily residential on this, we would have said that's not compatible with the comprehensive plan. That zoning is not allowed at this point in time. You're going to have to get that rezoned, and here's what you're going to be able to do under the current comprehensive plan, unless you do a comprehensive plan amendment.
Okay, yes, correct. And in essence, this designation, when we pull out the zoning, will not add any process that wasn't going to occur before this.
Right.
Okay, but what I heard, and I guess I didn't know back in November, what I heard, Jessica, you say was, we knew this was going to take time to identify these properties. But I did not know at the time we adopted our comprehensive plan as a council member that we were going to come in after the fact and dezone. I don't know, how many acres are we dezoning? Do we have any sense?
I don't have the number for you. Excuse me. And this is really, all this is being driven by the fact that we need to follow state law.
I get that, but following state law would have, I mean, what we're saying is we're not in compliance with state law, right?
Yes.
Okay. And why didn't we know back in November that we were passing a document that would have put us out of compliance with state law? Or at least tell the council. I mean, I had no idea.
Okay, and I can't pull up the staff reports to tell you whether it was explained or not. What we do know is that with any designation that we establish as a whole to the city, it takes time to do compatible zoning. Unzoned is a compatible zoning for this because the existing zoning was not correct. So to give you an example, last time we went through this process, we adopted a new comprehensive plan in 1993. We didn't do consistency zoning until 1995. It took that long. So what we're trying to do is effectively and expediently as possible, correct those issues. It will not affect any developer as far as their process as they go through. They can't do anything now that they couldn't do later.
I'll just add that the reason I believe it wasn't, I guess, specifically stated this is what we are going to do is we had internal conversations of how is best to address this. Do we do this now as unzoned? Do we try to find a compatible zoning and designate it as a specific zoning? We didn't want to lock people in just to place a random zoning on a property, especially if there were multiples that could fit. So there was some discussion that was had after, you know, the comp plan wasn't necessarily as smooth of an adoption process as staff, you know, anticipated or would have liked. So there were some things that came up in that process that maybe we failed to acknowledge that there would be this secondary process. But again, it was just what is the best way to put the citizens on notice and to also comply with the state law. And that's kind of where we got to where we are today.
Okay. Just a couple more questions, Mayor.
Absolutely.
So now I know we're in the process of adopting new zoning ordinances. There was several timeframes that we discussed last year. Can you tell us where we're at in the process today of adopting a zoning ordinance for the new comp plan? And the reason I ask is my understanding is once we have the new zoning ordinances that are consistent with the comp plan, then we're actually going to be able to have zoning on these parcels that is consistent with our comp plan as opposed to the no zone.
Well.
So in short, where are we at?
So let me back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Assigning zoning onto a piece of property that can allow multiple zonings, well, then we'll lose the flexibility. The intent is to really leave that unzoned until we have a development proposal, not necessarily what the zoning, whether it's the existing zoning configuration or a new zoning configuration. If I have a medium purple land use that would allow anything from industrial to office to residential to commercial, and I assign it office, then the owner of that property can only pursue office development. If I leave the zoning off of it, they can pursue multifamily, industrial, commercial, all those different zoning options. So it's something where we're maintaining the flexibility, but by not assigning a zoning right away.
But you've got a matrix today that we've seen that determines the place types and whatnot, and if somebody came in tomorrow and said, all right, I want to do something on this property, on one of the ones that has that kind of flexibility, you would go through that matrix, you would walk them through and say, well, this is based on what you want to do, this is what, and on the comp plan, this is what it could be. It could be zoned this, or that. And then they're going to say, okay, well, here's what my project is, I'd like to zone it this, and you're going to determine whether or not that's acceptable based on the matrix that we have in place today.
Correct. And I don't know if you remember when we were talking about that matrix, we identified, I think, one or two, just one zoning that we cannot move forward until we get the new zoning ordinance, and that was a small lot.
One place type that we cannot accommodate with our current zoning designations, and that is the small lot, which is what Councilmember McKinney spoke about, came up at one of our development and planning discussions. There is the reason we can't accommodate it, our smallest zoning designation for single-family goes down to just a 5,000 square foot lot. Our goal is to provide something smaller, again, for affordable housing and other options, for variety of housing options for individuals who still want to own. That is the one place type in our adopted comp plan that we cannot accommodate tomorrow. Everything else could be accommodated within our current structure. The goal, though, is our current structure is still a little bit more rigid than we would like. So that is, we are going through and changing, we're going to adopt a new zoning code to hopefully build in more flexibility to be even easier for developers and property owners to do what they would like. And the reason that we would leave it unzoned until there's a project is we don't want to try to guess what somebody wants to do. We want the developers, property owners to tell us what they want to do.
So the names of all the zoning districts, from the new to old, you will not see much change at all. What those development requirements within that zoning, those will probably be the biggest change that you will see. Setbacks, building heights, et cetera.
Okay, so the new zoning code that we're developing would not necessarily trigger rezoning this property?
No.
Okay.
No.
Where are we at in getting that new zoning code ordinance in place?
So just last week, we met with the consultant. We went through the structure, basically the organization, what topics to include in there. We also went into depth on the residential section of it, and then a little bit more into basically kind of the typology for the different street classifications. So that's that first initial step. We provide feedback. They'll refine that. They'll give us another section. We'll talk about the commercial side of that. And so one of the things we need to do is, first of all, have a workshop with P&Z and council saying, okay, this is the direction we're heading. Are we okay with it? So I don't have an end date right now. I can tell you right now, we're in the midst of the kind of the nitty-gritty details.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I appreciate it. I'll tell you, it creates some frustration to know that it was known at the time that we would have this problem. And that I think, as everybody recognized, I put a lot of time into the comp plan process. And not knowing at that point that it would be coming in and, when I look at it on the map, it looks like hundreds of acres that we're dezoning. And so to know that we would be coming back 6 months later to dezone hundreds of acres in the city of West Des Moines would have been something that would have at least elevated on my radar. And so when I heard about it for the first time in February, I was a bit surprised. What I don't like about it, and I'm in a difficult spot, because I acknowledge on the one hand, we can't be in violation of state law. We can't not do this and then be in violation of state law. The problem is we passed a document that put us in violation of state law. And so if we don't do this, we're in violation. And if we do it, we're taking hundreds of acres of property from a current zone to nothing. And, that's part of the process. We have other areas that are not zoned. I acknowledge that. But, what does that tell to our, what does that signal to our residents? What does that signal to the development community? If I'm a developer and I look at the city, I say, this is incredible what's happening here in terms of great things that are happening in our community. We're having records on building permits, records on valuation, incredible projects happening. And then we start down the path of this new process, and we're going to take a lot out of, you just kind of have a blank space out there. And I don't like the way that feels. I don't like the signal that gives to the development community. And when you talk to folks, or when I talk to folks in the development community, what I hear is they like certainty. They like to have a sense of what's going on. They don't want to have to go through red tape or processes. And when they're working with a broker and the broker says, hey, what's it zoned? The answer is no longer commercial. The answer is no longer industrial. The answer is, well, it's not zoned. On the surface, it sounds, what? It's not zoned? Highway 5, it's not zoned out there? What's going on? And then they're going to think, I'm going to have to go to the P&Z. I'm going to have to get approval there. I'm going to have to work with the neighbors. I'm going to have to go to the council. I'm going to have to do all of this when I could go to Ankeny and it's already zoned. I could go to Waukee and it's already zoned. I acknowledge that there is a process. I acknowledge that there is, for the developer that wants to make it happen, and there's a lot of great reasons to do all the development here in West Des Moines. But for those that don't want to roll up the sleeves and go through the process, it's a red flag, as I see it. And so it's a concern for me that I'm in kind of a catch-22. I'm in a place where you vote no and you're saying, hey, we should continue to violate law. I should vote yes, and we're going to de-zone hundreds of acres, and I just don't feel comfortable doing that. So I don't know that I have an answer, but at least we have an understanding now of how we chose the properties, that we're in the midst of a zoning ordinance, but we don't really know when it's going to come before us, and that the process will be application-driven to determine what the zoning is going to be down the road.
So understand your concern. Is there anything I can answer from what you just talked about?
Well, I mean, you've answered, I appreciate it, Linda. I mean, you've answered the questions. I think, we have to do a really good job, I think, going forward, communicating to residents, and particularly those that might be buying property, what could happen around them. Because if the resident calls legal, somebody is interested, a prospective buyer, interested in buying a residential property, and they call legal, hey, what's non-zoned? Oh, nothing can happen there, right? They'll hear nothing can happen there. What they may not, what that innocent resident won't know is that property's not zoned, but it will potentially be zoned when there's an application process. And so when they ask their realtor, hey, what's going on there? I don't know. I talked to city legal, says not zoned. Legal tells me on the record, even here tonight, that nothing can happen there. They're going to have a false sense of comfort. And so I think it's incumbent upon us, the city, to make sure that all the folks that are interested in buying any of this unzoned ground know that, anything within the comp plan could theoretically happen.
Well, I guess to beg to differ a little bit, first of all, point taken, we will make sure that that is communicated in our not only conversations, but on our website. But the concept of the comprehensive plan and the place types were put in place to provide the flexibility, but the assurances. So if somebody calls Jessica and say, what can I do on this property? It's unzoned. She will say, well, look at the comprehensive plan. It is medium purple. These are the following zoning districts that can happen in there. These are the place types that can happen in there. So these are the things you should expect if you develop it or you move next door to it. So with that structure, we can provide that assurance to people who are wondering what they can do.
I'm not here to debate with Councilman McKinney on this issue, and I really appreciate his perspective of this, and I hear what he's saying. I guess the way that I look at it is, number one, sure, there could have been more communication, but there really isn't another way to do the comprehensive plan. I mean, you do the comprehensive plan, then you take a look at, based on that comprehensive plan and the zoning that's out there, what is now inconsistent with the comprehensive plan that we just adopted. And you have to go through this process of unzoning those things that are inconsistent. But I have a different perspective, and while I understand that maybe now this piece isn't shovel-ready like it was going to be before, where a developer can come in and just, boom, just start going and have that certainty that he or she wants, I agree. The developer's going to call up and say, well, what is that? What can your property be? And if it is that medium purple, it could be these 3-4 different things. And so it really makes the value of that landowner's land more valuable, because it can fit so many other projects. It can be so many different things, yet we also made sure that we gave some certainty to the residents, so the residents know, well, these are the 3 or 4 things that it potentially could be, and the place types that it could potentially be. Yeah. So I look at this as not avoidable, the way that we did it. I'm not sure there's another option to do it, and that this is actually an opportunity for people to come and develop land and have more land that could fit the project that they want to do. So that's the way I'm looking at it. But certainly, if they want to get going tomorrow, no, they've got to do something. But if even if we were able to just leave it in the zoning that it was, and that was my point before, and they came in and said, oh, good, I'm going to do multifamily residential on this piece. No.
No, yes.
You can't, I'm sorry, this zoning is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. It's going to have to be rezoned, and here's what you're able to do, single-family residential. Now, maybe the person comes in and says, well, I'd like a comprehensive plan amendment, because I don't want to do single-family residential, I want to do office. They can come in and argue it before the council. We can do a comprehensive plan amendment, and if that's something that you guys think is logical in that area, and to do this comprehensive plan amendment, then we do it. And then we have that zoning as office, and away it goes.
And frankly, as staff, I don't want to be in a position to have someone say, this zoning allows me to do this, and for me to say, no, it doesn't.
But let's not also forget that we looked at this comprehensive plan and doing it because we had I've lost track, 101 comprehensive plan amendments that were being done. And to me, when I was sitting on this council, it felt like we were doing willy-nilly development. Somebody comes in and says, hey, I want to do this over here. Oh, yeah, okay, that sounds good. I want to do this over here. Well, that makes sense. And we're just amending the comprehensive plan left and right, and that wasn't giving the residents surety on what could be near them, and it wasn't making sense. It was like we were going to the gym with no plan. We were doing a couple curls and, a couple presses, and we had no plan. And so it made sense to do this. So I totally understand what you're saying, and I appreciate where you're coming from. It is not shovel-ready. The person's not going to just go, hey, I'd like to buy that land. How much is it? There you go, and then start developing it. They're going to have to do something now. But the flexibility is going to be a lot better than it was before, so.
I would say they'd have to do something either way.
Yeah,
So they either
agreed.
need the comp plan amendment if they want the zoning that's inconsistent
Right.
to be shovel-ready, or they need a rezoning
Right. But
to be consistent with
every
the comp
community
plan.
that goes through comprehensive plan amendments, which you're supposed to, or comprehensive plans, which you're supposed to technically do every 5 years, and we didn't do. And this is partly why we didn't probably. It takes so long to do, it's so difficult to do, it takes all the feedback and input and all the public hearings and hours of deliberations, but you're supposed to do it every 5 years. And every community that does this goes through this exact same thing. I mean, it's unavoidable, so. Councilman Hudson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Linda, thank you for sharing more about this. And I'm supportive of going forward tonight, but I just wanted to share, Mr. Mayor, when you're describing the kind of reasoning behind it, I think it makes tons of sense, and I'm totally on board. I feel like Councilman McHenry is more just talking about the process involved, because I think Matt had a lot of concerns with the comp plan going forward months ago. And I think the message that I got from Councilman McKinney was that's just not quite ready for prime time, so to speak. That was the message. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And here we are 6 months later, and we're making these changes because we were out of compliance with state law. And I'm not trying to be hypercritical at all, but just, and maybe I would humbly suggest when we go forward, we just make sure that it's completely ready. Now, Mr. Mayor, you said maybe it's impossible to be ready. Linda, you had said for like 2013, and then we didn't have it all backfilled until 2015 or something like that. I imagine that is very, very difficult. In this case, here we are 6 months later backfilling it, so to speak, right? And I understand that. I think I would probably agree with Councilman McKinney just saying communication in that regard would have been really, really nice. Just kind of know that this was coming. Just so you know, we created a comp plan, but there might be some zoning that's in violation of state law. And I didn't know that either. I think it would have been helpful to know that ahead of time, just to kind of give us the heads up, so to speak. Again, I'm not trying to be hypercritical, but I think I agree with Council. Did I kind of, okay, just wanted to make sure. So thank you, Linda.
And to be truthful, it was part of our updates to the council about the changes and the need to have to amend zoning or remove zoning. It was probably not in the staff report, but until I look back there, I can't tell you specifically if that was mentioned.
The other point that I would just make is until we know exactly what the land use is, we really didn't know how many areas were going to be inconsistent. And, we had quite a few areas where individual property owners came and spoke and were in disagreement with staff. Right. Those were in flux. So there was a lot of moving parts at the time. We will do our best to communicate it more effectively in the future. Again, like Linda said on the website, as far as communicating to applicants. And if anybody calls, absolutely, we always will defer them to the
The
comp plan.
comprehensive plan is a massive undertaking. It has to be done every 5 years, and it's just a massive undertaking. I mean, Councilman Trevilian and I, when we first got elected back in 2009, we came into the council. 2010 was our first year here. We were doing the comprehensive plan across the entire city, and we had night after night after night after night of council meetings where we were going to 10, 11, 12 at night with public hearing after public hearing after public hearing. It's just a massive undertaking, but I think I agree. The better you can do on communication, it's going to prepare you more. But I think it's where we're at right now is an unavoidable. It's just part of doing a comprehensive plan. You're going to have those inconsistencies that are now inconsistent with the comprehensive plan you just developed, and you're going to have to unzone those because otherwise they are in violation of state law. But, okay.
But thank you, Linda. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councilman McKinney. Thank you,
Great.
Jessica. Really appreciate it. It's very helpful.
Great discussion. Appreciate all the points that were raised. Any other discussion before we take the vote? Okay, seeing none, please vote.
Five yes, an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019 by amending Title IX zoning, Chapter 4 zoning districts and maps.
Been so long, I can't remember who moved it. I think it was Kevin.
It was.
Okay, and Lotes, you seconded it, didn't you?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did. That's how long it's been.
It's been a long time already. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Please vote. Can't believe I even remembered that.
Five yes.
Okay, item 6B, this is a time and a place for a public hearing to consider the vacation of a portion of Boonville Road as public right-of-way initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
March 8th and March 17th, 2023 in the Des Moines Register.
And have there been any written comments to this hearing?
The Planning and Zoning Commission, by a vote of 5 yes with 2 absent, adopted a resolution recommending approval of the vacation request.
Okay, anybody in the audience that would like to address the council on item 6B, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit *6 to unmute yourself and give us your name and address for the record as well. Is there anybody in the audience? I'm not seeing anybody moving. Anybody online? Okay, seeing and hearing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. We've got a resolution approving the vacation of a portion of Boonville Road as public right-of-way as shown on the attached plat of survey, and there are no outstanding issues.
Move approval.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Four yes, 1 abstention due to potential conflict of interest.
Okay, item 6C, this is a time and place for a public hearing to consider the issuance of not to exceed $10 million in essential corporate purpose, general obligation bonds, or capital loan notes. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
March 21st, 2023 in the Des Moines Register.
And have you received any written comments to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6C, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, please do the same, after hitting *6, of course. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to address the council on item 6C? Okay, seeing no movement and hearing no one online, I will declare the public hearing closed. We've got a resolutions for issuance of not to exceed $10 million in essential corporate purpose, general obligation bonds, or capital loan notes. There are no outstanding issues, and this was approved by the Finance and Administration Subcommittee unanimously at their March 22nd meeting.
Motion to approve.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I'm just going to say, we go through a lot of detail on these things at subcommittee, and I'm sorry that everybody's got to go through all these public hearings for them, but it's good for it, and it's something that's got to be done. So we'll put you all through that here tonight, and you can see every one of them. So,
Yeah, and this is, it's in the packet. These are, going towards a lot of different CIP projects, as I believe Councilman Hudson started to go through at the beginning. We got Valley Junction alleys on here, pavement rehabilitation program, median renovations. We've got court renovations. We've got Pearson Park in here, South and North Bridge replacement. Valley View Park has got grading utilities for new road parking lot and pickleball parking. We've just got a number. We've got a police station garage addition in here, a number of important CIP projects in here that this money will go towards.
This is all stuff that has to be done.
Yes. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, hold on real quick. Okay, item 6D. This is the time and the place for a public hearing to consider the issuance of not to exceed $700,000 general corporate purpose, general obligation bonds or capital loan notes. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
March 21st, 2023, in the Des Moines Register.
And have you received any written comments to these hearings?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience would like to address the council on item 6D, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit star 6 to unmute yourself and give us your name and address for the record. Going once, going twice, hearing and seeing no one, I will declare the public hearing closed. We've got a resolution for issuance of not to exceed $700,000 in general corporate purpose, general obligation bonds or capital loan notes. There are no outstanding issues, and this was also approved unanimously by the Finance Administration Subcommittee at their March 22nd meeting.
Motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Making up time. Hearing none, please vote. Who are we missing? Okay.
5 yes.
Okay, item 6E, this is a time and a place for a public hearing to consider the issuance of not to exceed $700,000 in general corporate purpose, general obligation bonds, or capital loan notes. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
March 21st, 2023, in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comment to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6E, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, please hit star 6 to unmute yourself. Once again, hearing and seeing nobody, I will declare the public hearing closed. And again, we've got a resolution for the issuance of not to exceed $700,000 in general corporate purpose, general obligation bonds, or capital loan notes. There are no outstanding issues, and this was once again approved unanimously by the Finance and Administration Subcommittee.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 6F. This is the time and place for a public hearing to consider the issuance of not to exceed $600,000 in general corporate purpose, general obligation bonds or capital loan notes. Sorry, Ryan, I should have said this. Initiated by the City of West Des Moines. Can you please read the date the notice is published?
March 21st, 2023, in the Des Moines Register.
And have you received any written comment to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6F, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit star 6 to unmute yourself. Okay, hearing and seeing no one, will declare the public hearing closed. Again, we've got another resolution here for issuance of not to exceed $600,000 of general corporate purpose, general obligation bonds or capital loan notes, and there are no outstanding issues, and this was also approved unanimously by Finance and Administration.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote. Ryan, please note for the record that every one of these have been obviously initiated by the City of West Des Moines.
You got it. 5 yes.
Okay. Item 6G, this is a time and a place for a public hearing to consider the issuance of not to exceed $700,000 in general corporate purpose, general obligation bonds, or capital loan notes initiated by the City of West Des Moines. Ryan, did you please read the date the notice was published?
March 21st, 2023, in the Des Moines Register.
And have you received any written comment to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6G, please come to the podium. Give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit star 6 to unmute yourself. God bless you, Brett. Hearing and seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. And we have got another resolution for issuance of not to exceed $700,000 in general corporate purpose, general obligation bonds or capital loan notes. There are, once again, no outstanding issues, and this was also approved by the Finance Administration.
Motion to approve.
So move.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 6H, and I think this might be our last one. No? Okay, we have one more after it. This is a time and a place for a public hearing to consider the issuance of not to exceed $700,000 in general corporate purpose, general obligation bonds or capital loan notes initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
March 21st, 2023, in the Des Moines Register.
And have you received any written comment to the hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6H, please come to the podium. Give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit star 6 to unmute yourself. Okay, seeing and hearing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. We've once again got a resolution for issuance of not to exceed $700,000 in general corporate purpose, general obligation bonds or capital loan notes. There are no outstanding issues, and this was once again approved by the great work of the Finance and Administration Subcommittee.
Motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, please vote.
5 yes.
One more to go.
Okay, item 6I. This is a time and place for a public hearing to consider the issuance of not to exceed $500,000 of general corporate purpose, general obligation bonds or capital loan notes initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
March 21st, 2023, in the Des Moines Register.
And have you received any written comments to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6I, please come to the podium. Give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit star 6 to unmute yourself. Going once, going twice. Seeing and hearing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. We've once again got a resolution for issuance of not to exceed $500,000 in general corporate purpose, general obligation bonds or capital loan notes. There are no outstanding issues, and this was once again approved unanimously by Finance and Administration Subcommittee. And this is our final hearing on bonds.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
5 yes.
All right, on to a different topic. Item 6J, this is a time and the place for a public hearing to consider the 2023 HMA resurfacing program initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
March 17th, 2023, in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comment to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6J, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit star 6 to unmute yourself. Okay, seeing and hearing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. We've got a resolution and a motion which we can take at the same time, and there are no outstanding issues.
Move approval.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Excellent bid.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, hearing no other discussion, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 6K, this is a time and the place for a public hearing to consider the 2022 pavement markings and on-street bike marking program initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
March 17th, 2023, in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comment to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody in the audience that would like to address the council on item 6K, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit star 6 to unmute yourself. Once again, hearing and seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. We've again got a resolution, and we've got two resolutions and a motion, which we can again take at the same time, and there are no outstanding issues.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 6L. This is the time and the place for a public hearing to consider a 2022 parking lot repairs program initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
March 17th, 2023, in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comment to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody in the audience who would like to address the council on item 6L, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, please hit star 6 to unmute yourself. Okay, hearing and seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. And once again, we've got two resolutions and a motion which we can take at the same time, and there are no outstanding issues.
So moved.
Okay, it's moved
Second.
and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
5 yes.
Item 7, new business. Item 7A, the Pines at Glen Oaks, southwest quadrant of Interstate 35 Mill Civic Parkway interchange. Approve a preliminary plat to create 33 lots for multifamily residential development. Paramount Destination Homes, Inc. We've got a resolution for approval of the preliminary plat. And this was also approved unanimously by both Planning and Zoning and the Development and Planning Subcommittee. There are a few conditions of approval, including the final plat being approved by the City Council and recorded with Polk County prior to the issuance of any building permits for buildings, and that the developer provide drawings and get sign-off by the Glen Oaks Owners Association acknowledging the grading will begin on the developer's property and that there are impacts to the association's ground. And finally, that the site improvements done prior to City Council approval are at the developer's own risk, and that this action tonight only allows for the grading and installation of private utilities on his ground. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Is there anybody online that would like to weigh in? Please hit *6 to unmute yourself. Okay, hearing none. Please vote.
Five yes.
Okay, item 7B, Primrose School, 8080 Coach Light Drive, approve a preliminary plat to create 2 lots for commercial development and approve a site. Hello? Is there somebody there that would like to weigh in on something? We just got done approving the item.
Yes, 7A.
Sir, I asked for comments on that. I asked somebody to hit *6 to unmute themselves, but nobody ever did that. I will go ahead and allow your comment, even though it's already been voted on and approved. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I hit *6 and it said I was not, it gave me a different answer, I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and give us your concerns?
Sure. And
Okay, we'd ask that you,
sorry for
yep,
the confusion.
not a problem. We'd ask that you keep it to 5 minutes, though. Go ahead.
No, it won't take that long.
Okay, give us your name and address for the record, please.
I can just tell you that,
Name and
okay,
address.
my name's Tom Polking, Polking. I'm a member of Glen Oaks.
Okay,
I'm the past president of the board of the Glen Oaks Homeowners Association.
Oh, okay.
Preliminarily, this is all pretty new to the members, unfortunately. We have not been very well educated on what's happening to this. I can tell you universally, I believe that the members are against it. I do not believe it's a quality, that this particular project really fits to the quality of what's at Glen Oaks. It's not compatible at all. And number 2, the traffic entrance to Glen Oaks is only going to get worse. You add this kind of traffic, we have an extremely difficult time getting across Mill Civic now. There's so many people against it that are, unfortunately, we don't know actually what's going on with this problem. Our board has really kept us in the dark. They promised us in 2021 at an annual meeting that the developer would present this to us prior to their approving it, and they have not done that. So we're all just kind of shaking our head and saying, what's going on? But I think the city needs to look, is this going to add value or is it going to devalue what's out here already? I think it devalues it, I really do. We homeowners are concerned this is going to devalue our property. And I know that Glen Oaks is a very good, it's a tax cow for West Des Moines. We understand that. And we're okay with that. But don't devalue our property. So that's why we're against it. And again, I apologize for my not hitting 6* correctly.
nope, not a problem. That's why I always say *6 instead of #6. People are always trying to push the pound. Well, I appreciate your comments. I guess what's frustrating for me is that, you know, this item has gone through a number of city meetings. It's gone through development and planning. It's gone before planning and zoning, not once, not twice, I think maybe even 3 times. It's been to the council at least 2, if not 3 times in various forms. And I think, and I hear your frustration, I hear your concerns, but this has also received approval from the Glen Oaks Homeowners Association, which we're counting on representing you and doing their job and hearing your concerns and weighing those. And, you know, and so I think a lot of the frustration that's coming through, I'm hearing you say that they didn't present it to you, they didn't, you know, weigh your concerns. You know, I would suggest that you take this up with the Homeowners Association Board and ask them why they didn't do that, because what we've received on our end is that they have gone through we've done our process. We've notified the owners within 370 feet, like we always do for every notification that needs to be done. We've had a number of hearings on this, a number of items that have, or a number of times we've brought this up. We've received a lot of different feedback from people in Glen Oaks. But, you know, I would suggest you talk to the Homeowners Association about it. I'm sorry, you don't.
Yes, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate you know, what you just said, and it is it's an internal problem. I guess just some frustration that people wanted me to at least make you aware that this is this isn't something that really fits into our plan. But I will follow up, and I've tried to. They haven't responded to my last 2 emails, but I'll keep following up. I used to be on the board.
All right. Well, I
know how to work with them. Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You're busy, and I know it's an issue.
Nope, I'm sorry you're displeased with it. I do think this will add value. I do think it will add value. I think that there is a fear of the unknown, and I think that's difficult for people, but I do think it'll add value. I'm going to open this up real quick. Councilman McKinney serves on the Development and Planning Subcommittee, and if you could offer anything on this. And then I do want to open it up real quick, since we did technically move on. The developer's here as well, and I want to give the developer time to weigh in, and then we've got to move forward.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Yep. No, thank you, Mayor. And Mr. Polking, thank you for your comments. You should know that this has come before the Development and Planning Committee in addition to the council several different times. And there are a couple items that we focused on, you know, from a city perspective, as opposed to what your HOA might, you know, consider criteria to evaluate. And we looked at it from a public safety perspective, and specifically our fire marshal, Mike Witzel, had talked about what could and could not happen there, and he did not have concerns about the proposal. So from a public safety perspective, there weren't issues that created a problem here. The second item, and I know you mentioned it this evening, you talked about traffic, and I know we specifically talked about traffic at the development and planning, and we were informed by staff here at the city that there wouldn't be any traffic issues. And so we looked at it from the development planning standpoint of, hey, this is, I think even as you just acknowledged, Mr. Polking, more of an internal issue about access or granting an easement or not granting an easement or whatever it is that, you know, internally is happening there is entirely up, and it's kind of self-governed. We look at it wearing a public safety hat, wearing a, you know, access traffic hat, and what we heard from the experts was there was not a basis to not move this forward. And so whatever happens internally is ultimately, you know, self-governed and happens internally.
Okay, Mr. Myers.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Myers, if you'd like to go ahead, and if we ask you also to keep it to 5 minutes or less.
Absolutely. Thank you. Jamie Myers, 2540 73rd Street, Urbandale. I represent Paramount and Destination Homes. I've been working with the Kirk family in the property, and have followed through on, I think I'm going on just a shade under 3 years in this process to try to approve this project, in which these homes will be very upscale townhomes, row homes that are in the neighborhood of anywhere between 650 and 850,000. So I think they're very much in keeping with the the values and in Glen Oaks, as well as, as far as the look and fabric of the community and which it helps create, something new and fresh and clean. And there are, a significant amount of people already interested in finding out more about living there. There is going to be more of an open house forum for the Glen Oaks residents coming. I had meetings even as early as last Thursday night with both the Architectural Review Committee, which has already signed off on this, as well as the board members that have already signed off on this, and we have easements signed for us to be able to get in and do our grading and all that as things become approved through the rest of the city process.
This was approved by the Architectural Review Committee that they have. Is that part of the Homeowners Association Board?
It's also separate. So we've been through two committees and been received in writing their approvals.
Okay, so you got approval from the Architectural Review Board, then you got approval from the Homeowners Association Board?
Correct.
Do you remember the vote on that? Was it a unanimous vote? Was there dissenting votes? Don't know.
I just get an answer that it was approved.
That it was
not
approved.
From
What other approval? You got easements?
And there was signed easements for us to be able to get in to be able to do grading as part of our development agreement, because there is a legal development agreement that we have with the Glen Oaks Homeowners Association.
Okay.
And Carl has copies of all of those. If you'd like to view any.
Jamie, what's the square footage on a lot of those units? Just out of curiosity, out of those homes?
On average, 2,800.
Okay. Very good.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we're going to have to draw this one to a close since we'd already moved on. I don't know if we can. Whoever's online, I don't know if they could maybe mute themselves, or IT, can we? Okay, we got it handled. All right, we're going to move on here. And I'm trying to recall where we were at in the 7B, what? Okay, just started. 7B. Primrose School, 8080 Coach Lake Drive, approve a preliminary plat to create 2 lots for commercial development and approve a site plan to allow construction of a daycare building, Hurd Parkway LLC. We've got a resolution for approval of the preliminary plat and site plan. There are no outstanding issues. And this was approved unanimously by both planning and zoning and development and planning, but there are 2 conditions of approval. One, that the council waives parking for 7 stalls and defers another 19 parking stalls from being put in initially, while reserving the right to require the applicant to put those 19 stalls in at the time that they become needed. Someone want to move the resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. I'm going to ask quick, is there anybody online or in the council chambers that would like to weigh in on this? *6, not #6, to unmute yourself. Okay, hearing no one, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 7C. Chick-fil-A, 6555 Mill Civic Parkway, approve level 1 minor modification of the site plan to allow construction of new drive-through canopies, Chick-fil-A Inc. We've got a resolution of approval of level 1 minor modification of the site plan. There are no outstanding issues, and this was approved unanimously by Planning and Zoning and Development and Planning with 2 conditions of approval. One, that any landscaping that is removed gets replaced, and that the new canopies that are installed include fire suppression to the satisfaction of the fire marshal. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 7D, plat of survey, parcels 23-25 and 23-26, 9127 Cedar Ridge Drive, approved plat of survey to divide lot in 2 and tie to adjoining lots, unique homes. We've got 2 resolutions, which we can take at the same time unless any council person would like to consider them separately. There are no outstanding issues, but there are a few conditions of approval related to lot tie agreements, execution of a new public utility easement, and appropriate removal of unused water service connection line.
So moved.
Okay?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
He was coming up.
I'm sorry. Come on up.
Dan Riddle with Engineering Resource Group, Land Surveyor, 2413 Grand Avenue. Just here to answer any questions if you had. The staff report looks good to us.
Okay. Sounds good, Dan. I appreciate you coming up.
It's good. Thanks for waiting, Dan.
All right. Any questions for Dan? Okay. Hearing none. Please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 7E. We got a resolution for approval and release of plat of survey regarding the vacation as public road right-of-way for a portion of the Boonville Road. There are no outstanding issues on this. Somebody want to move the resolution?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Four yes, one abstention due to potential conflict of interest.
Okay, item 7F, Easy Go Liquor, 900 Grand Avenue, approve level 1 minor modification of the site plan to allow site and facade modifications, Pinky Inc. We've got a resolution for approval of level 1 minor modification to the site plan. There are no outstanding issues, and this was approved unanimously by both Development and Planning and Planning and Zoning. The reason that this minor modification is before us is that it does require the council to waive certain parking requirements until such time that the full site is redeveloped. And it also requires the applicant to close the eastern access drive off of Grand Avenue and remove the concrete and replace the drive with grass. This will help with traffic flow. Does somebody want to move the resolution for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, don't be so enthusiastic. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I've been moving a lot tonight, Mr. Mayor.
I know.
So I thought I might just.
So move.
All right, go ahead. Please vote.
Get your name in print that way.
Tons.
5 yes.
Okay, item 7G, pre-levy for issuance of $13.17 million general obligation bonds or capital loan notes, 2023 Series A. Got a resolution for the issuance of not to exceed, actually 13.9 million, but it's expected to be more like 13.1. General obligation bonds and capital loan notes and levying of the appropriate tax for payment thereof. There are no outstanding issues, and this was approved unanimously by Finance Administration.
Motion approved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Anybody in the audience that wants to weigh in? Anybody online? *6. Okay. Hearing none, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 7H. We've got a resolution for issuance of not to exceed $17.2 million in taxable general obligation urban renewal bonds or capital loan notes, and for levying a tax for the payment thereof. There are no outstanding issues, and this was approved unanimously by Finance Administration as well.
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Anybody from the audience who would like to address the council? Okay, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 8, receive, file, and/or refer. Item 8A, we will receive the FY22 Westcom financial report and refer it to the Finance and Administration Subcommittee. Item 9, other matters. Are there any other matters that anybody would like to raise at this time? Okay, hearing none, we will stand.